They labeled you, branded you, stamped with a warning nobody dares to ignore. High-risk individual? Sounds scary, huh? But that's the problem, they're scared. And fear is power. While everyone else trembles behind their safe little walls, you're out here. Moving, shaking, breaking rules they didn't even know existed. Panic is spreading in the air around them, like smoke from a fire they can't put out. And you're just getting started. They slapped a label on you, painted you with a warning that was meant to shrink you, make you small, make you obey, make you disappear into the background. High-risk individual. The words echo like a threat, like a hammer pounding against your skull. But here's the delicious irony. They think it's a mark of weakness. They think it's something to fear. But you know better. That label isn't a cage. It's a spotlight. It's a flare in the dark that says, look at me. I'm alive. I'm dangerous. I'm unpredictable. While the world trembles at the thought of stepping out of line, you walk right through it, smiling at the chaos you create simply by existing. Every rule they try to wrap around you, every expectation they shove in your path, every attempt to control you only sharpens your teeth, only fuels the fire under your feet. They see the risk, you see opportunity. They see a problem to manage, you see a playground. While they panic behind locked doors, scanning every headline, double, checking every statistic, biting their nails at what you might do next, you're already moving, already thinking, already turning their fear into a game. Because being high risk isn't about being reckless. It's about understanding the world they've built for themselves and smiling while you step outside it. It's about watching their assumptions crumble, watching their sense of order twist and fray, knowing that the very label meant to contain you is the exact thing that frees you. You become a ghost in their system, a glitch they can't debug, a spark they can't extinguish. They call it danger. You call it existence. And every glance they throw your way, every cautious whisper behind closed doors, every eye that widens at your audacity, it's music. Sweet, sweet music to someone who thrives in the dark, someone who sees the game they don't even know they're playing. Labels are just words. Words bend, words break, words lie. And in those lies, you find the truth. They fear you because you refuse to fit their mold, because you refuse to follow their script, because you refuse to be small. They don't understand that high risk doesn't mean they're in control. It means the opposite. It means you've taken the very thing they think will stop you and turned it into armor, into strategy, into a signature. Everyone else cowers under the weight of their warnings. You wear it like a crown, like a mask, like a secret no one else can see, and it gives you a thrill that no safety net could ever provide. They panic because they've never seen someone embrace the chaos, dance on the edge, laugh in the face of labels, and still walk taller than anyone else. And the more they push, the more they try to define you, the more vibrant, more alive, more untouchable you become. Every attempt to put you in a box, every word designed to limit you, only feeds the fire. You exist outside their rules. You exist outside their comfort. You exist exactly where they're terrified to go, and it shows. You are a mirror reflecting their fear back at them, and in that reflection, you see something beautiful. Power. Fear. Such a simple word, so small, and yet it has the power to twist the world into shapes that don't exist, to make people stumble over shadows, to freeze in place while life rushes past them. They think fear is a weapon they can use against you, something to break you, something to make you obey. But that's where they're wrong. Fear isn't your enemy. It's your friend, your ally, your secret little accomplice in a world that desperately clings to comfort and control. While they hide under blankets of certainty, counting rules and regulations like their shields, you step into the storm, knowing that the same fear that paralyzes them feeds you. You watch their panic, their hesitation, their jittery glances over their shoulders, and you realize something delicious: they don't have power over you. You have power over them, because fear is a language, and you've learned to speak it fluently. You feel it pulse in your veins, that electric zing that makes your senses sharper, Your instincts faster, your mind alive. It isn't weakness, it's fuel. They shrink when they see the shadows, when the unexpected creeps around the corners of their safe little lives. But you lean into it. You laugh at it. You turn every spike of anxiety, every whisper of danger, into a step forward. A grin, a moment where they can't touch you, can't predict you, can't cage you. Fear doesn't chain you. It liberates you because while everyone else flinches, you move. You act. You thrive. Every beat of your heart, every pulse of adrenaline, every breath you take in that charged air is a reminder that you're not living in denial. You're living awake, alive, untamed. The world calls fear a weakness, a thing to flee from, a thing to sanitize, a thing to bury under routines and comforts. But that's only because they've forgotten how thrilling it is to stand on the edge, to stare into the abyss, to feel that tickle in your spine and know you're dancing with something real. Fear is a tool, a companion, a mirror. And when you understand it, when you harness it, it bends the world to your will. You start to see it everywhere, in the hesitant step of the cautious, in the racing eyes of the timid, in the trembling hands of the overcautious. And you smile, because you know the difference between being afraid and being controlled by fear. One makes you alive, alert, dangerous. The other makes you a puppet, predictable, boring. And you are anything but boring. Every surge of fear that would have crushed someone else you twist, you mold, you channel into power, into motion, into chaos that moves in your favor. You watch them blink, stumble, second guess, and you realize that their panic is not just a sound or a reaction. It's a symphony. A symphony that plays only for those brave enough, reckless enough, clever enough to understand that fear isn't an enemy. It's a tool sharper than any blade, faster than any gun, more reliable than any ally who can betray you in a heartbeat. While they count the risks, you multiply them in your favor. While they hide, you leap. While they hope for safety, you hope for the spark, the thrill, the pulse that tells you you're alive, untouchable, untamed, high above the cage they call normal. And as their panic spreads, as their trembling whispers fill the empty spaces they've built for themselves, you realize that fear isn't something to avoid. It's something to wear, something to wield, something that colors every move, every glance, every heartbeat in a shade of chaos they'll never understand, because they've never dared to embrace it, never dared to see that fear can be the very thing that makes you unstoppable. Panic. It's contagious, slippery, unstoppable. You can feel it before it even shows itself on their faces, in the tremble of their hands, the quick swallow of their fear, the shallow breaths they think you can't hear. It spreads like smoke in a room without windows, curling into corners, sneaking into cracks, filling every space they thought was safe. And the best part, they have no idea it's happening until it's too late, until their control evaporates like water on hot asphalt, until their carefully constructed walls crumble under the weight of their own trembling hearts. Panic is the truth behind the mask of civility, the madness lurking under the thin veneer of order, the chaos waiting to spill into the streets while they clutch their schedules, their rules, their meaningless routines. You watch it ripple, like waves radiating from a stone thrown into a pond. Every glance they give, every whisper they pass along, every glance over their shoulder carrying a pulse of fear they can't suppress. And they try, oh, how they try, fake calm, forced smiles, false reassurances. But it leaks, seeps, infects, until the entire room, the entire system, the entire world they cling to is trembling in their grip, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. Panic isn't just a reaction, it's a mirror, and when you stare into it, you see the truth they refuse to admit. They are fragile, brittle, breakable, dependent on their illusions of safety, their fantasies of control. And you, the high-risk individual, the one stamped, labeled, branded, the one they thought they could contain, you are the match that lights the fuse. You move, you act, you smile, you whisper your audacity into the air, and suddenly their perfect little world is cracking at the seams. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to shout. Just being there, just existing, just daring to cross the lines they've drawn so carefully, sets off tremors they feel in their chest, in their stomach, in the hollow spaces they didn't know were empty. Panic is poetry, and they are the stanzas trembling under your rhythm. It doesn't matter what rules they enforce, what warnings they shout, what alarms they ring. Once panic takes hold, their precision, their discipline, their carefully planned lives unravel like threads pulled from a tapestry. You see it happening in slow motion if you care to look. The twitch in an eye, the hitch in a breath, the hesitation where there should be certainty. And it's beautiful because it's real. They can't fake it, can't hide it, can't control it. It's raw, exposed, deliciously fragile, and they don't even realize that you are the reason it exists. Panic is a spotlight on their weakness, a lens that magnifies the cracks they try so hard to hide, a mirror that reflects the truth they refuse to face, that life outside their neat little boxes is bigger, louder, wilder, faster, more alive, and they can't handle it. And as it spreads, as it ripples, as it metastasizes through their minds and bodies and whispers between them, you stand there, grinning, watching the chaos bloom, knowing that this trembling, jittering, spiraling madness is exactly the sound of them losing control. And they will try to deny it, to calm it, to rationalize it, to fix it. But panic doesn't care about their reasoning, their plans, their attempts at stability. It doesn't negotiate, it doesn't compromise, it doesn't forgive. And the more they struggle, the faster it grows, the bigger it swells, the more deliciously it consumes the spaces they thought were theirs. Rules. They love rules. They cling to them like lifelines, like promises that the world will stay neat, polite, predictable. Rules are the scaffolding of their lives, the chains that make them feel safe, the invisible lines they dare not cross. But here's the thing about rules. They're only as strong as the people who follow them. And you. You don't follow them. You don't need them. You don't even respect them, not in the polite, careful way that society demands. You see those rules for what they really are: illusions, tiny cages, painted lines designed to keep the chaos at bay and the sheep in place. And while everyone else trembles at the thought of stepping over one, you laugh at the edge, you twirl on it, you dance on top of it, and you watch the panic bloom in their eyes, because they can't comprehend someone who refuses to be tamed. Every don't, every must, every should becomes a challenge, a spark, a delightful little dare thrown straight into the heart of conformity. They think rules are law, inviolable, sacred. But laws are written by humans, by the timid, by the fearful, by the people who never dreamed beyond the lines. And that's why they crumble so easily when someone like you appears, someone who doesn't ask permission, doesn't beg for approval, doesn't kneel to the weight of tradition or expectation. You're the glitch in their perfect machine, the unexpected variable, the error in their calculations, and the way you move through the world exposes the fragility of every rule they've worshipped. They panic because rules are supposed to protect them, but you've shown them that rules can't contain you, can't bind you, can't even touch you. You take what they fear, what they cling to, and you twist it into art, into performance, into chaos that serves you while it terrifies them. Every instruction they hand down, every command they issue, every line they draw in the sand becomes just another obstacle to play with, another boundary to mock, another challenge to turn into opportunity. You move through their expectations like wind, unseen but felt, leaving them stumbling over the rubble of their own assumptions, gasping at how easily their order can be shattered by someone who doesn't believe in it. Rules are fragile because they rely on obedience, and obedience is a choice. You don't choose obedience, you choose freedom. And the taste of it, it's intoxicating. Every careful step they make, every cautious glance, every attempt to maintain control only highlights your audacity, your brilliance, your sheer, unstoppable chaos. They whisper behind doors, they clutch their papers. They glance over shoulders, trying to enforce order that doesn't exist anymore. And you smile because you know it isn't about breaking rules for the sake of destruction. It's about seeing the world as it really is, untethered, unpredictable, thrilling, and stepping into that truth without hesitation, without fear, without apology. The world tells you to color inside the lines, to march in step, to respect the invisible chains they think are permanent. But you refuse. You don't just step outside the lines. You redraw them, erase them, twist them into shapes they can't recognize, turn their straight, narrow world into a carnival of possibility that leaves them dizzy, disoriented, powerless. And while they try to hold on to their rules, to keep order, to keep control, you are already 10 steps ahead, moving in ways they can't predict, laughing in ways they can't understand, living in a rhythm they've never heard. Every rule they worship, every boundary they enforce, every law they swear by is just another piece of theater for you to manipulate, another string for you to pull, another tool in your hands to turn their panic, their fear, their obsession with control into fuel. Because rules only have power if you let them, and you don't. You don't follow the script. You write your own. You dance in their chaos. You feed on their fear. You thrive in the spaces they've abandoned to conformity. And every moment you move through the world without asking permission, without following their commandments, without bending to their structure. You remind them that control is an illusion, order is a joke, and freedom, the raw, untamed, thrilling kind, is always for the daring, the reckless, the unstoppable, the untouchable. While they hide, you move. While they tremble behind locked doors, counting the minutes, rehearsing their lies, checking their screens for reassurance, you slip through the cracks, glide past the lines, dance across the edges of the world they think is safe. They believe stillness is security, that waiting, hiding, obeying will protect them from the chaos they fear, but that's their weakness, their obsession with safety, their love of comfort, their need to be controlled. You, on the other hand, understand the truth. Motion is life, motion is power, motion is freedom. Every step you take, every glance you make, every breath that escapes your lungs is a statement, a declaration that you refuse to be caged, that you refuse to be predictable, that you refuse to let the world define where you belong, what you can do, or how far you can go. You move not just through space, but through their minds, through their expectations, through the tiny borders they cling to. And they feel it. Oh, they feel it. The tremor of someone who refuses to pause, someone who refuses to kneel, someone who refuses to be small. They panic because movement is contagious, because action is threatening, because it shows them the truth they're too cowardly to face. That waiting won't save them. Obedience won't protect them. And fear alone is a cage that only grows heavier with every second they spend inside it. You step, and the ground shakes beneath the illusions they've built. You breathe, and the air around them thickens with uncertainty. You exist in the spaces where they cannot reach, cannot touch, cannot predict, and it drives them mad, because they've never learned to live there, never dared to move when every instinct screamed, stop, never discovered the thrill of chaos in motion, the power of being untamed. Every glance you cast, every laugh that escapes your lips, every deliberate stride you take through a world designed to constrain you, is a reminder that safety is a myth, control is an illusion, and stillness is the death of the soul. While they cling to walls, you fly over them. While they hide behind their rules, you rewrite the rules as you go. While they tremble, you leap. And the more they try to predict you, to anticipate your path, to corner you into obedience, the more they realize it's impossible, because motion is your language, and you speak it fluently, in ways they cannot understand, in ways they cannot replicate, in ways that make their panic feel like the loudest symphony ever played. Motion becomes a game, a tool, a weapon. They can see it, they can feel it, they can sense the rhythm you set, and it terrifies them, because it reminds them of what they've lost, what they've never had, what they will never understand. And you thrive in it. Every step, every twist, every daring choice is a pulse, a heartbeat, a declaration of life that they can't touch, can't control, can't silence. They cower while you rise. They whisper while you roar. They shrink while you expand. And as your motion slices through their world like a knife through smoke, You feel the delicious electricity of power that comes not from them, not from rules, not from safety, but from the simple, undeniable truth that to move, to act, to live on your own terms is the ultimate rebellion, the ultimate thrill, the ultimate proof that they will never, ever catch you, never, ever define you, and never, ever control the force that refuses to stop moving, refuses to stop growing, refuses to be tamed. The system trembles around you. Every structure, every rule, every carefully constructed order quivers when you step into their world, because they've built it thinking that everyone will conform, obey, stay inside the lines, follow the scripts they wrote for life. They didn't plan for you. They didn't imagine someone could exist who would look at their so-called order and laugh, who would move through it with the precision of chaos itself, who would take their fear, their panic, their obsession with control, and turn it against them with a grin. You are the earthquake in their landscape, the virus in their calculations, the spark in the darkness they thought was safe. They tremble not because they see you as weak, not because they can measure your steps, not because they understand your mind. They tremble because they can't. Every glance you throw, every word you speak, every choice you make is a ripple in the air around them, a tremor they feel in their bones, a reminder that their walls, their fences, their rules, their systems are only illusions, delicate fantasies they've built to convince themselves that life is predictable, controllable, safe. And when they realize that life isn't any of those things, when they see you moving, living, thriving outside their neat little boxes, panic spreads like wildfire. The tremor becomes a quake. The quake becomes a collapse. And you watch it unfold like a maestro, like a conductor orchestrating chaos, smiling as they flail, as they clutch at straws, as they whisper, as they panic, as their control evaporates into thin air. They call it danger. They call it risk. They call it unmanageable. But you call it life, pure and untamed, alive in ways they've never been, alive in ways they will never understand. You move through their schedules, their deadlines, their systems, their routines, and each one bends and breaks under your weight, because you are not meant to fit into their molds, to follow their rules, to respect their illusions of order. You exist outside of that, above it, beyond it, and in your existence, they see the fragility of everything they've built, the weakness of everything they hold sacred, the truth they've spent their lives running from. And they panic because they realize that you don't need their permission. You don't need their approval. You don't need their safety nets, and that knowledge cuts through them like a knife sharper than anything they own. Every system, every hierarchy, every chain they've forged to control the world around them quivers in your presence, because systems are designed to manage the predictable, and you are anything but predictable. You are a storm, a wild card, a force of nature moving in a rhythm they cannot track, cannot follow, cannot contain, and that terrifies them more than anything else, because terror isn't loud, isn't fast. It's subtle, creeping, lingering, gnawing at the edges of their mind until it consumes them from the inside out. And you feed on that awareness, on that panic, on that subtle chaos that spreads because they forgot one thing. While they built systems to control the world, they forgot to account for the ones who laugh in the face of structure, the ones who see rules as suggestions, the ones who move freely in spaces they thought were theirs. You are that one, that anomaly, that glitch that refuses to conform, that refuses to obey, that refuses to bow. Every tremble they feel, every heartbeat that jumps in fear, every hesitation that freezes them in place, it's music, it's rhythm, it's proof that you are untouchable, unstoppable, unstoppable in ways they'll never understand. They panic because they realize the foundation they've trusted is rotten. The ground they walk on is cracked. The safety they cling to is a lie. And you, the high, risk, untamed, untouchable force, are walking right through it, laughing, thriving, alive in ways they'll never dare. And it's a sight, a sensation, a truth too powerful for them to bear without trembling, without gasping, without realizing that control is nothing but a fragile illusion in a world full of chaos that you command with every step, every smile, Every breath you take, danger is your stage. While everyone else hides behind walls of rules, fences of fear, and masks of obedience, you step into the spotlight, and the world trembles because they didn't plan for someone like you. Someone who moves with the audacity of chaos, someone who turns every risk, every threat, every heartbeat of uncertainty into a performance, a show, a declaration that life belongs to the daring, the reckless, the untouchable. They call it dangerous, risky, unpredictable, but you call it alive. Every step you take, every glance you throw, every calculated misstep that makes them gasp and recoil is part of the theater you orchestrate. And they are unwitting spectators, paralyzed by the thrill, terrified by the brilliance they cannot comprehend. Danger isn't something that happens to you. It's something you create, something you dance with, something you wield like a weapon, like a brush on a canvas, painting the world in shades they were too cowardly to imagine. And oh, how they panic, how they whisper, how they try to piece together the puzzle of someone who refuses to fit their molds, refuses to follow their rules, refuses to be small, refuses to submit to the monotony they worship as safety. Every risky choice you make, every step they would never dare, every line they would never cross, becomes a performance, a symphony of audacity, a rhythm of chaos that pulses through the air and rattles their bones, reminding them that control is a lie, order is a joke, and bravery, the real kind, the kind that makes the world bend, belongs to those who laugh while walking through fire. You understand that danger isn't about recklessness, not really. It's about awareness, about sensing the tremors in the system, reading the panic in their eyes, seeing the cracks they try to hide, and stepping boldly where they would never dream to go. And when you do, when you move into spaces they've deemed untouchable, when you touch the chaos and make it yours, they see it, they feel it, they can't unsee it, and the trembling begins. You take the very thing they fear and turn it into your performance, your expression, your art. The danger isn't around you. It's in your control. It's in your hands. It's in the way you exist outside their world of certainty, outside their systems of safety, outside their cages of obedience. Every glance they give, every breath they hold, every second they hesitate is a reaction to your audacity, your refusal to conform, your refusal to shrink. You are untouchable because you embrace the risk, because you make fear your partner, because you make chaos your rhythm, because you understand that danger is not the enemy of life. It is the essence of living fully, wildly, untamed, and they can't handle it. They panic. They stammer. They falter. They see in you the reflection of what they will never be, alive in a way that makes them uncomfortable, unstoppable in a way that makes them tremble, free in a way that makes them gasp. Every move you make, every calculated risk, every audacious act of defiance is a performance they can't interrupt, a show they can't control, a symphony they can't stop. And it thrills you because you are not only alive, you are the pulse that shakes their fragile illusions, the spark that ignites their panic, the reminder that danger belongs to the brave, the fearless, the untamed, and that life itself is nothing without it. You step into the chaos, into the spotlight, into the moment they never expected, and you own it, revel in it, dance in it, breathe in it, and they see it, they feel it, they panic, and it only makes you stronger, sharper, more alive, more untouchable, more dangerous, more unstoppable.